Hey, finally. Hey, everybody, this is Jim Tabletop Engineer, and welcome to a live session. It is 9 a.m. Eastern, so I suspect some of my European friends are probably still sleeping or heading to bed. I didn't announce this one, it just was a spur of the moment because I'm down here trying to do some catch up work in the workshop. I'm going to talk to y'all about some stuff that's been on my mind lately, share some things with you, a little show and tell, and I got to do some lasering. So you're going to have to put up with that while I'm working. So what's going on today? Well, I do, like I said, I have some lasering, but I do have some things I want to share with you that are upcoming. Some of it is for members. My channel is now, I have a members only section. So there will be things that are for members only. It is only $1 a month. So if you want to support my channel and continue to see more content plus videos that aren't available to the public, it's only $1 a month. So that's all I'm going to say about it. What I will be doing shortly for my members videos, I pulled these out, and I actually bought one off of eBay, and it's coming in today. That's what brought this to my mind. So, well, what's to my mind was the current financial situation with the world, with the tariffs and all that. Now, this is not a political channel. I'm not going to get into it. Your politics, yours, mine are mine. We can be friends. We can disagree, but that's not what this is about. What's going on lately, and some of you may have seen it, there's a lot of game companies that are releasing emails or posts on their website and stuff regarding the tariffs. Specifically, the ones that have me concerned are the ones for Kickstarters that haven't fulfilled yet. About 5 or 6 projects that I've backed in the last, I don't know, 3 months, 6 months, a year, that are either in production or shipping or what have you. And so it's getting a bit concerning that these companies are communicating to their backers that, hey, we could have problems. I can't give you specific names other than one, which is CMON. They're based here in Atlanta, and I do back CMON products like Cthulhu Death May Die. A lot of people back their Zombicide series and things like that. So not only is there concern for fulfillment from CMON, but other companies are in the same boat. Now, I don't know. I read it somewhere, and anytime you read something on the internet, it could be true, could be false. But I had read somewhere that books and board games fell into a category that might be exempt or fully exempt from these tariffs. I don't know. If you know any truths about that, if you know a website that where you can get official answers on that, I would love to read that, because again, I had heard that books, print books, and games and other things, there are things that are still not being taxed or tariffed, whatever you want to call it. Hey, King of the Cheese, I am having a good day. I hope you are too. But let's say it's not. Let's say these tariffs are across the board, everything. We got some trouble because remember, some people call the tariff a tax, and I guess it kind of is, because the way I understand it, and I have been watching videos of trying to understand, and I'm no expert, but the way I understand tariffs work is, we set a tariff on a foreign country, which means when they ship something here to be sold, they pay whatever the cost of the item is that they're shipping. I don't know if it's the retail cost or the wholesale cost, probably the wholesale cost. But whatever the wholesale cost is, which is their cost before markup, they have to pay the tariff. So if it's $100 and the tariff is 100%, they got to pay $100, right? And then, say in the United States, they get the item, and if they're selling it for $150, which is a 50% markup, they get $150. They pay the $100 or they recoup the $100 that they paid to the seller or the shipper, and all's well. Well, it's not all well, because what happens is whatever the tariff is going to be, The shipper adds that to their cost. So instead of it costing 100, it's going to cost 200. So that when the buyer has to, or when the buyer has to get it before they sell it to their customers, they now have to pay for that item. So the tariff gets added to the seller, but it does, at least partially or fully, probably get added by the buyer, because I could not operate a business that way. If I was ordering something from China for $100, and then I know the tariff on China is over 100%, but let's just say it's 100%. If China says, we'll pay the tariff, but we're going to charge you up front because we know the tariff's $100, so we're going to charge you $200 for your item. Well, that $100 item is now $200. My customers are not going to pay $200. Or let's say I've already pre-sold them, like a Kickstarter. If I charge them $100 and now I have to pay no money, and if the tariff is super high like it is right now, I could lose money. And that means, as a Kickstarter, a small Kickstarter company, I might have to get a credit card and pay those tariffs or pay that extra cost and put it on credit, which means I'm not going to make a profit, and I'm actually going to end up in debt. That is what concerns me about where our current Kickstarter world. Last night I went and I looked. Hundreds and hundreds of games raising funds on Kickstarter. And that's not counting GameFound and Indiegogo and any of the others that are in mind right now. So, yeah, I'm a little concerned, because yesterday I heard from someone that one of the CMON subsidiary, I don't know if it's a subsidiary, I guess it was like a third party that provides content or material in, they didn't get paid, and now they're out of business, which is horrible. Can you imagine being a business owner and you supply like art or writing or actual physical prints company like CMON or some other game company, and a lot of this is in such big quantities, they get billed, right? You send an invoice, you owe us $50,000 for the art, or $20,000 for this print of, a user manual, whatever. Well, if CMON chooses not to pay it because they're hurting for money because of all this financial stuff, they don't pay their bills. Well, the small mom and pop or individual who are one person, artists typically are freelancers. They create the art, they send it, they bill it, and if they don't get paid, they're out of work. They can't pay their bills. So I'm a little aggravated because it comes from a reliable source that this did happen. I hope that if CMON is listening to this video, I don't know if I hope that CMON gets it in order and pays their vendors or pays their providers or sellers or content creators or whatever, because it's a horrible thing to think that these big game companies that we all love and we all play their games, but they're hurting the little man. And I don't like that, because I'm in right now for 2 CMON Kickstarters. One is for a game called Dark Providence, which technically is not a CMON. It's a third party game based on, and they're offering some Cthulhu Death May Die stuff in the Kickstarter. So it, because A, it's a Cthulhu game, which is cool, and B, it has some stuff in it that we could use exclusively with the Cthulhu Death May Die game. That game has been delayed and delayed and delayed, and I really do wonder if I'm ever going to get it. But I also backed the last Cthulhu Death May Die Kickstarter, which won't fulfill for months at the end of the year, supposedly. And CMON's always late, somewhat. So probably 2026. Now, all this tariff stuff may be over by then. We don't know, but let's assume it's not. I do. If CMON is going to stay in business, if they can't pay their vendors, it makes you wonder if they can't pay their employees and they can't pay their bills. I'm not saying they can't. CMON's a big company, and it might have the liquid capital. They may have cash in the bank that they can float a while, and they probably do. But it does worry me that that I've got these two things out there that I may never see. I don't know. Let's cross our fingers that we do. All right. So anyway, the reason I brought the subject up and talked on it again was because it got me thinking about the games of the 80s. I got introduced to wargaming and RPGs, and my interest in board gaming really spiked in the 80s. I was in 6th grade, I think, in 1980. Yeah. So you can probably do the math and figure out how old I am. 6th grade, I discovered RPGs. I discovered war games, but didn't really get to play them in the 80s because they were kind of expensive. It was a very high entry level because miniatures were expensive. I mean, they were expensive, and there weren't a lot of non-historical miniatures. Ral Partha and some other Star Fantasy miniatures. But when you're in 6th, 7th, 8th grade and you don't have a job, it's hard to get miniatures. So most of my RPG games in the 80s were theater of the mind, right? We didn't have terrain and miniatures and stuff. But I also did get interested in the 80s in there were games released, and I usually didn't own them. Now that's not entirely true. I did own some. Car Wars was the big. It used these little chits that were bird's eye view of cars, and you had motorcycles, and you had obstacles like oil slicks and caltrops and flaming oil and things like that. And we would use these chits. We would make our car, and it was on this sheet of paper. It had a very basic like rectangle, and then 4 rectangles for the tires, and then it had like little check boxes for the driver and the tires and things. And so those represented damage that was done to the car, and you could draw in like weapons, like a turret weapon, but it was all done on this one single sheet of paper per car. And you drew in a circle to represent the turret, and you wrote in its damage ability and how much, what its, other information about it. And you played this game on this gridded map, and it was so slow. Back then, we thought it was the coolest thing ever. Today, it's so slow because the cars would move like 1 or 2 squares at a, and over an hour game you might have moved 6 inches or something like that. You might have shot at 6 cars or something, but it was a slow moving game. But it was what we did. Chits. We didn't have miniatures. We had these chits, and so it was during that time I was going infrequently to a gaming group that mostly played RPGs, but there were other people there playing war games, and there were some playing these chit-based games. And these chit-based games were interesting because I could relatively some of the money I saved, because I was cutting grass, raking yards, and doing stuff for extra cash. I could realistically buy some, and I did. And I'm not going to get it here. I still have all my Car Wars in the little black case because they were like $7, $6.95 if memory serves. Does that sound about right? Maybe they were 12, but I think they were $7, and I could get them when I went to the gaming store that I frequented, which really wasn't a gaming store. It was a Hallmark card shop called. It was called Bobby's. No, not Bobby's. Something. Bobby's Hobby Shop did exist, and we did go there. But the Hallmark shop, the owner was a gamer, and in the card shop, he had a little section of games, and I frequented it because it was close to my house. And on this rack, he had all the Steve Jackson games that came in these little plastic cases, like Illuminati, Car Wars. There were more. I can't remember. But it was about that time that I was in the store, and I discovered some other chit-based games that that looked cool. They sounded fun. And one of them, I wish I had them all. Some of them are kind of pricey these days on eBay, but there was a game company called Task Force Games. They were really known for the Starfleet Battles game. Hey, Ron. They were really known for their Starfleet Battles games. And I eventually bought those later in life, and I could never play it because none of my friends wanted to play it because it was so complicated. And by complicated, I mean the rule book was like this thick, and it was written in a system of 1, 1.1, 1.111, 1.11 AB, that kind of, it was crazy. But anyway, Task Force Games released in little plastic bags, Ziploc bags, these games, and they were usually a manual, a little book, kind of like a zine format, but they were very thin, like maybe 10 or 16 pages. And it usually came with a little punch, a little thing of cardboard that you would punch out the chits. and play. And then it was a fold out map of whatever the layout was. Use these chits like you would miniatures, and they were fascinating. I really, really loved them, and I bought some of them, and I have looked for them and looked for them, and unfortunately, like a lot of things that I had as a kid, some things I kept, some things disappeared. Don't know, but I have managed to sort of recover some of my lost treasures. One of them is this. It's called Intruder. You can see it was Task Force Games number 6. Didn't Task Force? You beat me to it. Intruder is based on. This one was before Alien and Aliens. It came out in 1980. This game is 45 years old. It is in it. It takes place on a space station that the scientists have gone down to a planet, and they found an organism that was really cute. They brought it back to the space station, not realizing that it had a mutate feature, multiple mutate features, and every now and then it would grow and grow and grow into a bigger creature. Now, if that doesn't sound like Alien, well, yeah, I'm sorry. Intruder is based on Aliens. I thought I read that wrong. You did say Alien. Yes, this is based on Alien because it is a single creature that is going to metamorphosize and get bigger and more deadlier. Now, it has special abilities. There were like six of them, I think. One of them was called a clone, where it would spin off a smaller version of itself that would then grow and grow and grow. Now, I found this recently, a couple months ago, and I bought it because I remember playing this game. Here is, and I'm going to be playing this game for you, my members. This will not be a public video. This is going to be a private video. These are some of the things I want to do for my members to reward them for the support of my channel. Here is the map. This is it. That's the space station, and you will use the chits to move your crewmen and the enemy and unknown, like there's other animals. This is a science station. Experiments are being done. So the chits are face down, and until you encounter them, you don't know what they are. Now, what's really interesting about these types of games, and I love this, the manual is, well, this one is, that's interesting, 15 pages, not 16. Usually these things have to be in increments of 4, but since this is stapled, I guess they just printed what they needed, and that was today. If you order anything like that, like a zine or whatever, the printers inevitably want it in increments of 4, so it would have to be 16 pages, not 15. But on this map, you may notice charts here and here, right there and right here. These were things that this was a D6 game. So, for example, the Intruder life stage. If the Intruder was on life stage 1, there's a probability that it would metamorphosize. It's a 5 or 6. So during the game, there's a where you roll to see does it grow up. And on this, it says a 5 or 6. So you roll the die, and if you roll a 5 or 6, the alien now it's grown, and it has 3 powers, not 2. It starts the game with 2 unknown powers. All the powers are represented along with the crewmen and the aliens by chits. Look at that. Now, it's not a lot, and they're tiny. They're a little less than half an inch square, plain on the back. Now, some games will print things on the front and the back. This one was early days, so it's just see is what you get. You punch these out, and like the aliens, red ones right here, would be placed down along with the monkeys, cats, and dogs. And then there's some ones called dummy. And the rules will tell you put these chits face down, you mix them up, you pick 8, and it tells you where to put them starting. And then you punch out your crew, and it tells you where to start them. And the weapons are all kept in the armory, and the gas container can be built, as can the flamethrower and the prod. The engineer can go to the engineering section and build them, and it takes a certain number of turns. But you can see that there is a war game here. It just doesn't use numbers, and the dice mechanics are fairly simple. Our games have sort of progressed in complexity over the years, but this is a D6 game, or 2d6 in the case of rolling for powers. So it is. So never mind. There were 11 powers that the alien had, because this chart right here goes from 2 to 12, and you would roll to see what the new power is. Actually, once you known powers. So once you encounter it, you would roll to see. I'm trying to remember. It's been a while, but I really want to play this. There's also 2 shuttles, because as in Alien, if all is not going well, you can try to get in the shuttle, set the self-destruct, and get away. But then there's even a chance that one of the aliens may have snuck on board the shuttle. So the game's not officially over until you blast it out of the airlock, which is something you can do. But one of the powers that the alien has is the resistance to vacuum. So you lose the game if you blast it out into space, but it has resistance to vacuum. The game rules say you lose the game. Yes, David, it is early. I didn't sleep well, as you can tell by the bags under my eyes. I haven't been sleeping well. So I figured, hey, I'll go ahead and get on and have a chat with some of my audience. So this is called Intruder, and I am rereading the rules, which again, the rules aren't overly complex, so it should be a fairly easy game to pick up again. And I'm going to be playing this for my members. It will be a members only video. What I'm trying to decide is whether I want to make that a live play or just record it and edit it, and then because if I live play it, I don't like rules consult a lot and having people wait on my decisions. I hate doing that. So I don't know what I'm going to do. Also, these games were notoriously hard to get back in the bag. That is an honest to God fact, because these bags had these little presses on the side to seal them. And inevitably what they did was they put it in the bag and then they sealed it and sealed it, which meant you were going to either tear the bag or the edges would get ruined because you were trying to fiddle it out of there. The memories that come back from this, yes, I'm going to get a bigger bag, but I do kind of like storing it in its original bag. I'm just old school that way. Now, we talked about Intruder. That was based on Alien. As all of you, most of you probably know, Aliens came out in 1986, I believe. I think it was 86. Changed everything. Alien was a horror film. Aliens was more of a sci-fi action film, although the aliens were as scary as they could be. We got more information about how they cocoon, and we saw some live alien births, and the movie just added a whole lot to it. Well, Task Force Games, I don't remember I think they were still in business at the time, but somebody beat them to it. It was a game called Fat Messiah Games, and I remember I didn't own it. I do now. I didn't own it, but I did get to play it. As one of my game friends, we had seen Aliens, and he said, there's a game, and this came out in the 90s, if I'm right. Yeah, 1993. I was in college, and one of the guys I knew, I didn't game as much in college as I wanted to, but I still kept my fingers in it. One of my friends said, oh, you're an Aliens fan? I said, yeah. And he goes, have you ever played this game? And I was like, no. And he said, yeah, it's based on Aliens and it uses chits. And of course I'm like, what? I had not seen this. The game is called Last Frontier, the Vesuvius Incident, right here. And again, Fat Messiah Games. It has a retail of $10. It came in a plastic bag. It came with double-sided chits. Now, these chits are on a cardstock, and you don't punch them out. You had to cut them out. But it was double-sided, black and white on the back, and color on the front. And as with Intruder, you got a map. And this map was a lot more complex than that one. Let me see if I can get it. Look at this thing. So this is like this is a ship. You're on a ship, but it's sort of like, think about Hadley's Hope, which is where Aliens was set, where the Marines go in and they're trying to clear out the station and try to find survivors and stuff. So even though this takes place on a spaceship, it does use Marines, or do they call them Marines? I think they do. Let's see. Yeah, Marines, the Marines. This one has everything from the Alien movie. Remember the scene where Ripley is helping Hicks, who's been acid burned by the alien? Yeah, you can help carry a wounded. Let me see if I can find that picture. Look at this picture. Is that not Ripley and Hicks? As he's definitely this game made by someone with a love of the Alien movie. There's acid splash. There's panic, like Hudson or whatever. There movement up and down. There's medics. There's repair, hacking. It's pretty slick. Now good Lord, it's been 93 to 2023 would be 30 years. It's been 30 years. Well, almost maybe 30. I think it was 94 or 95 that I probably played this. So it's been 30 years. 30 years since I played it. I finally got a copy of it about 2 weeks ago. And I didn't buy it for nostalgia purposes. I bought it to play. So some of you are probably going to go a little freaky when you hear that I'm going to cut these up. There are things I collect and things I buy to play. My collect is not as big as my play. I understand that somebody might want to keep this pristine in the bag. 30 years is going to be worth even more money. I don't care. I know that probably bothers some people, but I want to play this again. You can play it solo or up to, I think, 6 players. Intruder is a solo game, but this one was meant to be multiplayer, and that's how I remember playing it. So for you members of the channel, as I said, I'm going to make, I always forget how to fold this up. All right, hold on now. This goes this way. Yeah. I am going to play these, and these are going to be members only videos. They won't get and they're not going to be monetized. I'm not going to put ads on them. You're already paying your $1 a month for membership. And so you're going to get, if the video goes an hour, it goes an hour. I'm not going to break these up into 30-minute ones. It's going to be the entire game. And I've got more. I've got some that, I have some that are 2-player, because I used to play 2-player games a lot more than I played solo games. The 2-player ones, let me get one for you. The 2-player games, again, I don't play very often, but let me show you one. This one's pretty cool. Okay, so if any of you used to collect or not collect, because at the time you just bought it, Dragon magazine back in the 80s, some of you, like me, may remember flipping through Dragon. You loved reading it, but the ads, because there were so many games. And again, I didn't have a lot of money, so my eyes were bigger. What was it? Your eyes are bigger than your stomach. There were a lot of games I wanted, but I couldn't afford. And I remember one ad that was in Dragon magazine for years. It had to be for many, many, many issues. It was horrible art, horrible. It was like hand drawn. Okay, and I would say if one of you is the artist, I apologize. It wasn't horrible. It was compared to what we have today. You look at it and you go, oh my God, it's horrible. But it wasn't. It was really, really cool. I would give anything for a poster of it on my wall here. There was this game that was advertised, and the art took up the top 3/4 of the page. And I wish I had thought about this, because I would have pulled out a Dragon magazine to show you the ad. You'll have to go hunt it down. The most of the ad was this one picture. It was in a hallway, and don't type it up if you know what I'm talking about. Don't give it away just yet. It was a hallway, and it branched this way. And in the background were some zombies. And in the foreground was this, I guess, this lab-coated science guy with a girl. It was always a woman who's like, panicking, and the zombies are coming. And And I think there was a robot too. I think there was a robot in the image. And the basis of the game was explained in a box about this big. It was just, can you survive? Blah 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 blah. And it had a little basic information about the company and the price and stuff like that. I saw that ad every time I bought a Dragon magazine, and I never ever sent off to buy the game, and I regretted it for decades. And then about a year or two ago, I was going through some of my old Dragon magazines, and I saw that ad. And even though it's a two-player game, I had to have it. It's one of those games where I'm like, okay, I want the game because it had such an impact on me. It was one of those treasures that I wanted, but I never got, and I regretted it, and I finally managed to get it. The game is called Attack of the Mutants. Now, this is not the image, the ad, but whoever did this, I think, did the one for that. You can kind of see that it's not the greatest, but it's typical of 80s art. This game came out in 19. Let me see if it has it in the manual. Usually they put the year. Maybe not. Come on. Nothing about the. I was kind of hoping it would have. Oh, 1980. 1980 by Yaquinto Publications. Now, what's interesting about this game? It has chits. I have not punched them out. I'm being very careful here. It was a fold out, single-sided, yellow, the mutants and the bad guys. Oh, no, green were the good guys. Red were the bad guys. Black were the robots. I'm not sure what those are. And then there were the doctors. Professor Applewhite, Buck Bucaw, Joey Cabelli, Otis Higgins, Percy Fitzwater. The bad guys even had names. The zombies like Roscoe, Pahu, Kooky, Phallus, Ricky. There were dozens. Yancey. There's a two-headed one named Yancey. A headed one named Josh. So it came with chits. It came with this is typical of games of the time. It came with an advertisement of all the other games they had, and some of these look. They had Dallas. There was a TV show in the 80s called Dallas, and they actually had one based on Dallas. Hilarious. But they had some other sci-fi ones. They had one called Demon's Run, a game of Star Cup Challenge Racing, Asteroid Pirates, a game of ship-to-ship combat in the asteroid belt. They had Barbarians, The Fall of Rome and the Mongol Invasion, Starfall, Ultimatum. Yeah, they had a lot of historicals. I think they started out with historicals because most of these are based on real war, World War II, that kind of thing. But you always got, remember, if you bought some of these older games, you always got a flyer with all of their other games. Now, what I really find interesting is they released this reduced game board. This is not the board you played on, but you could, because each of these squares is the size of a chit. And in a lot of these games, what you would do is, because space was small, you would stack the chits. So when you were playing, you always had to investigate the entire stack to make sure, oh, do I have that weapon? Yes, I have that weapon. Who else is with me? Oh, John is with me. So you stacked them. This one came with a portable map that you could play if you didn't have a lot of space. Oh, and it also came with a rule book, all 4 pages of it. Pretty simple. 4 pages. Now it's an oversized sheet, I guess. Well, I guess that's 8.5 by 11. So, but it's printed landscape. But here's what I love about this game. It came in this box, right? And the box opens. The insert that has all your stuff, it removes. It tells you how to store everything in the back. Wouldn't know how to slide it in. But here's what's cool. The map is in color. It is the cover of the box. It has a comic down here and a comic up here. And the bad guy sits on one side. The player who's playing the zombies or the bad guys sits on one side. I play on one side, so it's called the Human Reserve and the Mutant side. And you move chits to get them active, right, or activated or ready for activation. And then of course you would place them over here when they're moving it through the rooms and the hallways and stuff like that. There's inner quarters, there's outer, uh, very well. Let me flip it over here. So it's a very cool game. I never got to play it, so I go back and forth on this. I want to play it. Need to find a second player to come and play it, and I would be willing to send the rules. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this to a gaming convention, and I'm going to find some old guy like me who remembers the '80s fondly for these games, and we're going to play a game of Attack of the Mutants. We're going to try to anyway. Probably going to laugh at the simplicity of it. Oh yeah, I forgot. The Vesuvius game came with this errata. So that was the other thing, is when they would make mistakes in the game, rather than reprinting the book, the little book, they would just collect the errata and then they would update it by putting an insert into the bag that had the new rules. So you can see there were some rule fixes or some clarifications to the rules. So yeah, so that is, and now I own it. And I don't know if because it's a rare game. It's hard to, I mean, you can find them, but they're hard to find. Maybe not. Maybe you'll get lucky and find somebody who doesn't know what they have. I find that most eBay sellers know what they have and they know the value, at least if it's rare, they know the value. But occasionally, I guess you can go to a thrift store or something and find a gem for low price. If you can find that for a low price, grab it. Even if the chits are already broken up, complete. If you've got all the chits and the instruction book and it's in decent condition, grab it, because it is one of those rare games that I do know people remember fondly. That ad always grabbed me. All right, click the like button, folks. Oh, thank you. I didn't know there was a like button for a live video. I guess that makes sense. There is. So as I said, I plan on playing some of these chit-based games for my members. So keep your eyes open. I'm currently working on it properly. I think I'm going to do top down, and I want to get the rules. So I'm creating myself some cheat sheets. So I don't. Some of these rule books, the way they were written, it was just there was no real organization to it. It was just rule. And today, I think we've gotten sort of spoiled or used to rule books. There's a flow to it. It makes sense as you read these rule books. A lot of the rule books back in the 80s, and Starfleet Battles is a primary example. They were just so complex. They didn't use headers and they didn't use different size headers to break out text. They just used one overview, and then there'd be a 1.1 phase, 1.2 phase 2, 3 phase 3. It was just very, very cold and scientific, sciencey. And that's okay. That's one of the things I love. But today's games are a lot easier to parse and understand the rules from the get-go. So that's that. So I've talked about a little bit about the tariff situation and some of the Kickstarters I'm worried about. I talked about the chit games. The next thing I would like to discuss with you is I'm going to make a video. I'm going to make a video on this probably next week, and it'll be for everybody. It'll be for the public. I got an email. I got an email from someone recently. He emailed me at my Jim's workshop, and he said, "Man, you play a lot of solo games." His email, and I'm paraphrasing, he was like, "You play a lot of solo games, I've noticed, but I've also noticed that you lose a lot." And I was like, it was funny. He wasn't saying it in a mean way. He just sort of, I think he even put LOL. And he said, he agreed. He said, one of the things is I play solo games too, and I find that I lose a lot. And he said, but don't let that. I think he thought maybe it was bothering me. He said, but don't let it upset your channel. And we love watching your videos. And And I said, thanks, man, no worries. And I laughed it off, and I started thinking about it. And I started looking at all the solo games that I play. Now, it's mostly the board games because when you play a war game, especially Pain, you don't so much lose. Now, you can lose if your whole war band is destroyed. Like think Frostgrave or Stargrave or Five Leagues or Five Parsecs, those kind of games. In those games, it's not uncommon to lose a soldier or two or three or four, as long as you don't lose them all or lose the majority, or say the leader, like the wizard or the captain of the ship or whatever. You're still in the game, right? And those games typically allow you a chance to go and recruit new band members. So with Frostgrave, you lose three, you go get three thugs to replace them and raise your cash, and so you can afford more powerful soldier types. So I don't think he was referring to those games, because those games I'm not really losing. You just keep pushing through. Now, I did recently play a game of Core Space, and if you haven't watched that video, I'm gonna leave it there. I'm not gonna say anything because I don't know. I think that video is out there, but you probably can infer where I'm going. But I'm not gonna say anything. Let's change. Let's do a different game. Maladum is a new game I'm playing. Maladum is a campaign. You only have four. You play up to four heroes. I guess you could play more, but the rules are designed. If you lose all four guys, you basically have to start with a new set of adventurers. I did lose one in the first game of Maladum. I think my died, and so then I recruited a like a thief rogue character. So it does happen. I mean, you could play a game like Maladum or Core Space, and you could easily lose your four team members and have to start over. But I think what he's talking about is a lot of the games like board games, like with Cthulhu Death May Die. I usually play one adventure, one explorer or two, and I play two as a solo player. And with Cthulhu Death May Die, you either win or you lose. And I lose a lot because that Cthulhu-based games, they're just hard. They're hard to save the world. The world inevitably gets destroyed a lot. But when I was thinking about it, it occurred to me as a gamer, and I hope a lot of you play solo games. Even if you play team games, I hope you can at least relate to what I'm talking about. Think about it this way. If you play a four-player board game with three friends, and all of you are, let's just say, all things being equal, you all know the game, you know the rules, you've played it enough that you understand the strategy and stuff like that. You have and if it's a one winner, if it's a competitive game where it's one winner, you have a 1 in 4 chance of winning. You have a 3 in 4 chance of losing. 75% chance versus 25. Now you might argue, no, I think I have a greater chance because I'm better at the game. Okay, fine. You have a 50% chance or 60%. But if you're playing a multiplayer game, and if the game is not broken in the sense that you can figure out how to win every time, if you play a game where you're winning every time, especially against someone who knows the game and plays it either regularly or just knows it well enough to play it against you, if you're winning all the time, something's not right. And that comes from my background experience of helping game companies way back in the day when I was a college student. I would occasionally help a game company break a game. Long story short, I took a lot of statistics, and I took a course called combinatorics, which is like gaming theory and number theory. You learn about, well, we won't get into it. It's complex, but I got good at it. And one of my professors put me on to an opportunity to break games. And I basically, what it is you just play a game and you try to find if it's mathematically possible to win every time. You try to break it. You try to figure out, where is it that this game falls short? Is it too easy? Is it too hard? Can you never win? Do you win every time? If you don't win every time, but you lose every time playing this character, what's wrong with that? You get the idea. So my is, if you're playing a 4-player game and all things being equal, all of you are good gamers, you know the rules. One of you hasn't played the game 100 times and the others just 2 times. If it's all fair, you probably have a 1 in 4 chance of winning a game. So that means you have to play that game 4 times, statistically speaking, to get 1 win, if it's win rate. So if you apply that to solo games, see, when you play solo, you don't have any opponents. So you could argue that it's a 50-50. Sounds like a job that'll be lose to AI, definitely, if they're not already doing it, definitely. But if you play solo games, board games, card games, if you are winning more than 75% of the time, they've either broken that game. You have found the way to beat it. You found, and you have to be honest with yourself, because I've done this. I have played certain solo games where you get to a point where you can't lose anymore. And when that first happened to me, I was like, woo, I have mastered this game. And in a sense, I did master the game, but the game is broken. It's therefore broken because I have finally figured out all the possible ways that I could lose the game, and I don't do those things, if that makes sense. It's rare. I mean, I can't list you hundreds of games. I could maybe list half a dozen games that I've played to the point where I don't really play it anymore, because it's like, okay, I know I can win this game. Sometimes I'll play them because I need a mental break, and I like the challenge of what the game offers. Even though I know it, I still like the challenge, the mental workout that the game gives me. So coming back to this gentleman emailing me and saying, you lose a lot of games. Do I really? I play on average, well, oh man, this is going to be scary to say out loud. I probably play 10 to 20 solo games a week. I know that sounds like, you're like, when do you find the time? Well, remember, I have sort of dedicated part of my day, about 2 to 3 hours of my day, to playing games and recording them and shooting videos and things like that. So it's not uncommon for me to get 4 30-minute in a day. And if I do that 5 days a week, that's 20 games. Some weeks it's less, some weeks it's more. It depends on my gaming schedule. And believe it or not, I do have a gaming schedule. I'm going to show you this. Don't take a screenshot. I don't want to give away all my secrets. Let me see if I can show you this. Okay, so the green are games that I have uploaded. They're out. Yellow are games that I have shot the video and uploaded to YouTube, but they're not flagged for public or members only yet. So there you go. And I do this on a month-to-month basis. So you can see I've got games for next month already shot and loaded up. And I do this, I put games out there on YouTube, usually a couple weeks behind. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 3 weeks right now. I am 3 weeks ahead of what you're watching. So if you watch a Core Space game today, I've got 3 games already in the queue, loaded up, ready to go. And that's how I can release 2 games each day, like 2 on Monday, 2 on Tuesday. And I'm trying, and I think so far for the month of April, almost every week, I have gotten 2 games out per day. So as of today, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28. I've got 28 games released since April 1st. I missed Wednesday, the 2nd of April. 1 game posted that day. And, that was because I had just started Dungeon Saga. Dungeon Saga is one of the games I added. So if you're going, when are you ever going to play this game or this game? It's coming. I have to space them out because I have to get into a schedule, and then I have to introduce a new game slowly. I have to get it into the mix, film enough that I get that coast for a little while. Because last week I was out of town for 5 days actually, and I didn't shoot any videos. So thankfully I had banked these and they were ready to go, but the downside was that put me a week behind. So now, rather than being 4 weeks ahead, I'm 3 weeks ahead. So the way I usually, just an inner secret here, the way I get ahead is sometimes on a Saturday, I will block out a Saturday and just do as many games as I can. If my wife travels, sometimes my wife will travel for a couple days for work, and she'll tell me, I'm going to be out of town on this day or these 2 days. And when she is, I try to use those days to get as far ahead, because in the evenings, my boys don't want to hang out with dad. They just want to go and do their thing. So rather than spend time with my wife in the evening or watching TV or whatever she wants to do, I go play some games. So there you go. That's how I get ahead. 9:00 conference. Got a good. Sorry, Jim. Thanks, David. Good seeing you, brother. So I'm telling you all this because to get back on the discussion of losing, I'm looking at all these solo games that I play, and yeah, I lose a lot of Cthulhu Death May Die. And I'd lose, I think I'm about a 50% win rate on the Marvel United. I've won just as many as I've lost. I haven't figured that game out. That game, as simple as the rules are, and as cute and comical as the game is, it's these big superhero miniatures and the bad guys and stuff. And it's a fun game. I laugh at myself. I'm like, 10 years ago, I would not have liked Marvel United. I would have thought it too simplistic and too cartoony and too cutesy. And I would have missed out, because it's actually got some solid gameplay. I have found that I cannot beat the Green Goblin. I've played him 3 times, and you would think maybe the 4th will be the one. I'm sitting here going, I can beat Ultron. Ultron, I've figured him out. Red Skull, I think I've figured Red Skull out. I played Doctor Doom just the other day. I lost by a small margin. But Green Goblin, I can't get him. I know that I'm missing something. There is something I'm not doing in that game that is, and that's not talking about breaking the game. I just want to win once, but it's hard. It is very hard. So there are very few games that I'm playing right now where I lose all the time. But yeah, when you play a solo game, you're going to lose. And if you're not losing, then the game is either probably too easy, or you have to admit to yourself that you've kind of figured the game. Now, if it's a new game to you, you should lose. I think anytime I play a new game, I don't go into it wanting to win. What I do is I go into it wanting to get the rules down, understand what it is that I'm playing. And then if you win, it's a victory, right? That's why when I play Cthulhu Death May Die, when I win, it's like a celebration, because it comes so rarely. I would say my win rate with Cthulhu Death May Die is probably 20 to 30%. And I think a lot of board gamers would look at that and go, I don't want to play that. You lose too much. But it's a fun game, especially if you're into the Lovecraft Cthulhu mythos setting, which I love Arkham. I love the 1920s and 1930s. So I love these types of games, and I'm okay with the fact that the games are designed to be hard and to lose. You lose. Arkham Horror, the card game, you lose. Now, the game is designed so that even if you lose, you continue with the campaign. Your investigator takes mental trauma and physical trauma, pile up and make the next scenario harder. And then if you lose it, you get more trauma, which makes the next scenario harder. So by the time you get to the 6th and final scenario, you're probably going to lose. But it does make it where when you get to that final scenario and you win, and I've done it, it is like you want to go out and get a cake and ice cream and call your friends and tell them that you beat scenario, this campaign or whatever. Took me 15 tries to beat Green Goblin. Thank you. All right. At least I have a number to shoot for. Is that Elia? Thank you. No, now that I know it's not just me, Green Goblin is hard. I haven't even come close to beating him. And by close, I mean, he starts with, I think, 7 health when you're playing 3 heroes. I think I did 1 damage to him one time. 1. So I admit, he's got me boggled, but you gave me hope. I will keep playing. And if I haven't beat him by 15th game, I don't know what I'll do. I'll probably play a 16th game. Yeah. So yeah, it is funny. I think those of us as gamers, I do play a lot of board games, not a lot, but when I do play board games with other players, I don't win a lot, because the games I play, I'm playing with people who that might be their favorite game, or a few weeks ago, one of my good gaming friends who recently moved away, we miss him. He introduced me and 5 others, so a total of 7 players sitting around the table. We were playing this game called, I think it's called Creature Kitchen, something like that. And basically, you have a restaurant and it's animal themed, and you're trying to go to the markets and get different types of vegetables and meats and things to prepare dishes that you present to someone, and you get points based on how much of it you used and how if you had to like cut corners by substituting a soup. It was a fun game. I played it with 6 other people, 7 in all, and I came in 3rd place. And it was it wasn't, I wouldn't say it was close. The guy who brought the game had only played it once or twice. He won, and it was not but the second place person was just, I think, a couple points behind him. So it wasn't like he had broken the game. Just he knew it just well enough to know what to go after, while the rest of us were learning it. But one of the players who'd never played it before, but had played enough games of this style, kind of understood. And he came in 2nd place and 3rd. And I kind of understood what I was doing, but not really. I figured it out about halfway through. I was like, oh, now I get it. But by then, it was too late. I could only try to catch up. And then some of the other players were having a harder time with some of the mechanics. If I play that game 4 or 5 more times with this same group, it's going to get bloody, because it is I don't think the game at all. There is a skill and strategy. There's a little bit of luck, but not really. The little bit of luck is related to the order in which your chefs get to visit the stores, and that changes. You will get at the front of the line at least once in a game, but as soon as you take advantage of it, you go to the end of the line. So you get this one instance of what I would call, and it wouldn't be luck. It would just be, you get this, you're going to get that one chance to get that killer item you need to make that one dish. Then if you take advantage of it, if you grab it and use you're going to go to the tail end of the line. Anyway, I got a little off course there, but I tell you this only because when I do play multiplayer games, I hold my own. Unless it's a brand new game that I've never understood the mechanics of. There are some trick taking games that I just don't get. Trick taking games, which are mostly card games, they're not my thing. And I've never really spent a lot of time focusing on the strategies of trick games. So if I play a trick taking game with you, you're going to win, because my brain isn't wired to think like that yet. I could sink into it for a while and play those types of games, but I'm not going to. So anyway, I thought it was humorous that this person would say, man, you lose a lot of games. And I do. The more games you play, the more games you're going to lose. The more games you're going to probably win. But with the games I play, the deck is sort of stacked against me, because I play a lot of Mythos Lovecraft games, which are designed get-go. Anyone who designs Mythos games, if they're designing a game that's going to be popular, they know that the people that play it don't expect to win every time or every other time. They expect to lose a lot. And that's just part of the theme of Mythos games. Now, there are games like Marvel Champions. It's a card game where you're playing a superhero versus a villain, and it's cooperative. The whole team, 1, 2, 3, or 4 players, up to 4 players, up against the villain. We win that game a lot. We win that game because my group, we know our strengths. I play an aggression deck. I love playing the aggression deck. So the other guys I play with, they know that, and so they tend to come with their best. Some of them prefer to play like leadership decks or protection decks or justice decks. Those are the 4 aspects of the game. Have our own style of play, and when we play, we know each other's weakness and we know how to cover for each other. And I probably have a 80-90%, maybe not that high, maybe 75% win rate on Marvel Champions. But we haven't beaten the game because every 3 or 4 months a new villain comes out. Not every 3 or 4 months, but every 6 months or so, a new set of 6 bad guys comes out or more. They're constantly releasing new heroes. So you're always learning a new hero deck. And the first time you play a hero deck, you're not really knowing that deck so well, and it takes a while to figure it out. So that's a game where We haven't broken the game. Our win rate is pretty high because we know the game and we're working cooperatively. And so when 4 players are going up against one bad guy, if you know the game, you have a pretty good chance of beating the bad guy. But if you make 1 or 2 mistakes, you could lose the game. So that game, you have to be mentally, you're watching what your fellow, it's not a game where you can chat with your friend and go, oh, it's my turn. You have to be involved in the game. And fortunately, there are things that you can do during another player's turn that you can play interrupts to help them or protect them and things like that. So that game is a game where it pays to pay attention to what your fellow players are doing, because if they make a mistake, you might be able to correct it or cover for it at least. But it's a game that if you don't, and you don't know each other and you've never played together, and let's say you got 3 aggression decks and 1 leadership deck, you may very well lose. And that's just the way the game is. Elias says, any plans to play Forgotten Ruin based on the 5 leagues from the round? All right. I should not, you're making me laugh. So I got to put up. Yes. Forgotten Ruins is currently on my iPad. And yes, I've already filmed a couple videos. So you get bonus points for finding a new game. Yes. Forgotten Ruin, I've got 2 videos. Ideally, I need to shoot at least 1 or 2 more. I'd like to have 4 in the bank before I release it to the public. So I'm actually playing a game of it today or tomorrow. I'm probably going to do it tomorrow because I've kind of got some lasering I've got to get done today, and I just don't know. Being that it's sort of a new game to me, I know the mechanics of it because I've 5 leagues and 5 parsecs, and it's very, very similar. But there is some referencing to some new rules and stuff that I'm finding I have to do until I get a grasp of it. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It is pretty cool. Imagine a group. Imagine it's not a squad or platoon. A company. Imagine a company of army. An army company being transported to a fantasy world. They've got air support and tanks and all types of soldiers and snipers. They've got ammo. They've got grenades. They've got all the elements that a company would need if it was dropped in the middle of a war. But they can't get back home, so they have limited grenades. Their ammo is somewhat limited. This is a miniatures based game, so it's not designed for tanks and airplanes, but those are understood, I think, to sort of be there because you can call in like air support or artillery fire from a distance and things like that. It's pretty cool. So you're going up against dragons and wizards and orcs and all kinds of fantasy elements. The first time I was grinning ear to ear because I was like, I have not played a game like this, and this is exactly a game I would absolutely play. I bought the PDF. I have not got my print of the book yet. The website said they were shipping the book in March. It's April. I have not got my book. And I have even posted on Facebook asking them, when are the print copies coming? But nobody ever responded. Modiphius is not of Modiphius. They put out some great stuff. I will get the print book at some point. I'm just very anxious to get it because I like to work from a print book. And I don't like working from the iPad because it's a swipe. Whereas with the book, I can flag things with stickies to quickly jump around. I'm playing it like a Stargate SG-1. We went through the ring, but that is so excellent. That is a really great idea. I may steal that. I'll give you credit. That is a pretty cool idea. Now, the game is built that when you lose soldiers, there's a way to replace them, right? The game tells you that it's not just your small platoon or squad. It's a squad that's going out and doing these encounters, that there are other squads doing it. It's the company has found itself in this world and they're exploring it. So you're in charge of one squad. And the idea is that if you lose a team member or team members or whatever, you can easily find a replacement. But it does limit you on like grenades. Like you can only have so many grenades that you take into a fight because they're limited quantity and things like that. There is an end game to this. You are going to play, Elijah, you may have to correct me here. I think it's 12. And then the 13th battle is against the big, bad, evil, whatever. And that will be determined using rolls or whatever. It has a start and an end. And so when you end and you beat the big bad, you can take some of your heroes or your soldiers and you can wrap them back and start a new squad with some bonuses, and you go after another big bad or whatever. So the game doesn't have to end, but if you want to play, they kill the big bad and they find their way home, you could play it that way. Or you could do I keep saying Elijah. It's Eliath. You can do what Eliath is saying. I hope I'm saying that right. Is it Eliath or Eliath? Eliath is number 1. Eliath number 2. What is it? I say it's Eliath. Eliath number 1. Is it 1 or 2? He'll tell me in a minute. Or she. I don't know. Could be a she. Zoom makes it number 2. Eliath. Eli. Okay. I was wrong. Eli. Eli, that is such a cool idea. Stargate, you're right. Give them those, what do they call the P90s or whatever that they use in Stargate. Treat them like that. Hey, David, back. No problem. Short conference call. Yes, it says late April now that the release day. Okay, at least it's coming, right? That's funny that you mentioned that because yes, I have been playing it. I've got one. Well, the first video is the creation of my team, and then the second video is the first skirmish. If you don't want to give too much away, but there's some things you can do early on that will give you some bonuses to carry over into the campaign. Again, I don't want to ruin anything if you're thinking about playing it. So the second video is a combat encounter. And I got to do a couple more, and then I'll put them up. Will be a video series where the members of my channel will get the video a week before I release them publicly. I will only release the first. I haven't decided yet. Typically, like let's say a game takes me 3 videos to finish. A scenario is 3. Typically, what I've been doing is releasing the first one to the public, and then the last 2 stay members only. And my design there is that if you like the game and you want to see more of it, you'll become a member for $1 a month, and you'll get to see all my videos, not a particular game, but any game that I do that for. I go back and forth because some games I feel like I should release publicly because I need a few games to release to the public just to keep people who can't necessarily afford to join them as a member. I want to keep them coming, and I want to give them something that they can watch. I'm currently doing that with 2D6 Dungeon and 2D6 Realm and my Mythos Arkham Monday Mythos videos. Those are the ones that I'm allowing. I give the members the video, and then a week later they go public. The other ones like Core Space, Maladum, they are the first. You get the first hit free, and then the any follow-up videos in that scenario are members only, and I'll keep it that way. So anyway, Beta Ray says, I just started the first book. It's okay so far. I'm curious how much is in the game. I don't know. I have not read the book series that it's built on. And by the way, those of you who've joined late, we're talking about this game called Forgotten Ruin by Modifius. It is very similar to 5 Leagues from the Borderlands and 5 Parsecs from Home. It uses the same combat mechanics, the D6, the reaction, the combat, the those kind of things. But the setting is different. It is a military, like a spec ops or an army company teleported to this fantasy world with wizards and orcs and things like that. And so it's a mixture. But I have not read the book series that it's based on. And it looks like Eli says it's a lot smoother than 5 Parsecs. Well, that's good to know. I actually find 5 Parsecs easier to play than 5. 5 Leagues is great. I love it, but it has so much going on. it is so complex and it has to be, because it really casts a large net, and to do that, it's got to have way too many options. 5 parsecs is a little. You basically, you're either fighting on a planet or you're traveling between planets and then fighting again. And with 5 leagues, there's different things you can do. Dungeons, you can do. I'm it eludes me, but there's a lot more you can do to it. Leagues, thank you. Beta Ray says Leagues is a bit overwhelming. I love Leagues, but yeah, it's a lot. If I was only playing 5 leagues, it would be great, because I could really dive into that game and I could turn it into this story that I want to tell, and I could focus on all aspects of it at some point in my campaign. But because I play so many other games, it's just like, man, I just going back and trying to remember, like, okay, how do I do this? What was the order of this, and blah, blah, blah. But this Forgotten Ruin, I did read through it, and it does look like it's going to be a bit less complicated. A little bit of a storytelling here, like the other two. There's some variations in what you can do, but not as much. So it's a lot leaner game, although I think the page count is just as, it's 100 and, yeah, definitely smaller book. 160 some odd pages. So it's not as big as the other 2 books, or at least if memory serves, it's not as thick as those 2. So definitely a lighter game. And like I said, it has an end. You play 12 campaigns or 12 combat scenarios, and then the 13th you go up against the big bad, and if you add or lose that, it starts over again and you do it again. So anyway, well, listen, I've been going over an hour, and I am gonna excuse me, I am gonna lose my voice today. This is probably the most talking I've done. This is probably the most talking I do during a day, is during these live chat sessions. So I hope you enjoyed this. It was definitely great spending an hour with all of you. I will give you a heads up that I will live painting session, miniature painting session tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. It will be on the Discord channel so that I can see you. You can show me what you're painting, and I can show you what I'm painting. It won't be on YouTube, but it's going to be at 8 p.m. If anything changes, I will post it on the Tabletop Engineer Facebook group if I had to cancel. But right now, it's looking great. Shouldn't have any problem doing it. Being able to visit with you guys and talk to you guys and paint minis and take my mind off of other life things going on right now is what I need. Without going into too much detail, I got some stuff going on with the family. Nothing bad. But one of my sons, we're having to deal with some stuff, and it's just wearing on. It's wearing on me. So I guess if you play golf or tennis, or if you're into, I don't know, if you're into movies, everybody has their way of dealing with stresses are on. I have gaming, and because I have gaming, I have my channel, and I have you guys, and I do appreciate your joining me on these things and talking to me, chatting with me, and it's just, thank you. All right, everybody, I gotta run. I will be on to 8 p.m. Eastern time. Bring your minis primed and ready to paint, or not. You can just chat. Some people come and we just talk. Most of us paint, and that's what I'll be doing. So good to see you guys. Good to hear from many of you. Thanks for joining me this early in the morning on Atlanta time, and hopefully I'll see some or all of you tonight. Everybody, have a great day. Take care. Bye.